Hey guys, welcome back to the Lot Podcast, the number one mental health podcast in the world. My name is Arjun Chaturvedi, and today we will be joined by a special co-anchor, Andrew CHEN, one of the main directors of Lot. So it's a great pleasure to have him on today. Make sure to subscribe and also follow us on Instagram at LOT. Wait, is it at L? Wait. Okay.
The
wait,
Lot
I
Show.
forgot.
Okay. No, I forgot. Okay. Hey guys, Arjun here again for another episode. Wait, how's my mic? Hello. No, you're great. Okay, great. Yeah, sorry. We honestly don't even need to cut this, but yeah, go ahead.
Hey guys, Arjun here again for the Lot Podcast to give you another episode on the insight into mental health in our little minds. So today, I wanted to introduce a special co-anchor before we start and introduce our amazing guest, Andrew CHEN, one of the directors and co-founders of the Lot Foundation itself. Make sure to follow us at Lot Show for all new episodes and all upcoming episodes as well. Today, we are joined by Mr. Aspuria, who is a clinical and licensed social worker specializing in cognitive therapy. Is that correct?
Cognitive. I do specialize in cognitive behavioral therapy, dialectical behavioral therapy, but really my style is more of a solution-focused and narrative approach to therapy.
That's awesome. And thanks so much for being here.
Yeah, thanks so much for joining us. I know this for the listeners out there, this is part 2 of episode 1. I know we had a little bit of a delay, but we're here now. So thanks for joining us.
Yeah, no problem. I'm very excited to be here.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. And just give a listeners thank you so much.
Introduce yourself.
Just like give a little intro, I guess.
Yeah.
Sure. So my name's Jonathan Aspuria. I'm a licensed clinical social worker. I practice out here in Orange County. Technically, my office is in Irvine and Orange, but actually a few months before the pandemic, I've been working remotely. So right now I see all my clients via telehealth. I see clients anywhere from age 13 to 84 is my oldest client. And I work on various aspects of life. So of course, I work with individuals with depression, anxiety, with histories of trauma in their background. I also have a few clients who do have bipolar disorder, but my style is very casual. My philosophy of therapy is to make sure that the person feels comfortable so that they're able to really be themselves and speak their mind and speak their truth.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. So today we're here to talk about, again, social media and its effects on mental health. So just since we're on the topic of you and your patients, how has social media affected your patients and the patients that you have or whatever, clients?
Right. Well, let's just say my professional opinion on social media is that, it gives people the opportunity to cultivate how they are perceived online. Right. Mm-hmm. So the problem with that, as I think many can imagine, is you see somebody's highlight reel, or nowadays, even with Photoshop and there's even subreddits on Instagram reality, right? And we're not even getting realism anymore. We actually have no idea what we're getting, but yet some people believe that that's what we should look like, or that's how we should act. Or I have a lot of parents who say, well, this person's able to, be a mom or a dad, work 40 hours a week and look like that, right? It's a lot of self-image issues from teenagers to adults.
Yeah. I think a lot of students nowadays kind of compare themselves to personas, I guess, that they see online, whether it be like the Kardashian family or any kind of big celebrity. I think that's kind of a taxing way of living, because I know a lot of my friends kind of want to compare themselves to these celebrities, but a lot of us have to keep in mind, this is not their real persona. This is a perception of what they want to be seen like. And do you think what kind of effects do you think it has, living kind of and using social media as a way to kind of cultivate a personality and being kind of compared to others like that might not be realistic? Do you think it probably has some negative kind of effects, right, on people's like perceptions of themselves and stuff?
For sure. I mean, it's definitely feeding into people's depressions and anxieties, right? Depression and maybe thinking they're not good enough, or they're just plain, what's questioning themselves. Why can't I do this? Why don't I look like that? Right. And then on the flip side is this anxiety of needing to keep it up. Right. Or why am I tired? Oh no, I got to fight this exhaustion. I got to keep moving. Right.
Yeah.
This whole hustle culture.
Yeah.
It like, is that even, I mean, it is real for some people, but how real is it? Right. We don't see what's happening behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Actually, one of my clients works in the Bay Area, and they said that the Silicon Valley is the mecca for the overachiever, and they hate it. They are just upset by it.
Yeah. I mean, on a more like high schooler based skill too. I mean, like my parents, they see these articles on WeChat or like Instagram or whatever, and they see, oh, this 7-year-old Ling Ling, whoever practices the violin 40 hours a day and also gets straight A's in high school and whatever. It's like,
right.
Yeah,
right.
That's like they just compare, and it's just more pressure. That's
right. I mean, the whole misinformation, right? The fact that your feed on whatever it is that you're looking at there's an algorithm that custom tailors your feed, right? So if you're constantly looking at parental strategies for improving your kids' activity, you're going to get more of that stuff, right? And it's, I don't know. I don't want to be like the doom and gloom person talking about like, oh, be careful, social media is scary. But there's definitely a lot of areas of it that just, I don't know if we're really thinking about it as a society.
Yeah. I think we've kind of been so accustomed to using it like as society, as tools, like even this show, right? It's kind of based in Discord and different social media platforms. And do you think that as an outlet itself of kind of creating this kind of positive feedback loop, it's kind of cut people off from reality a little bit? Because I was reading a couple of articles. I read this book in English called like Reclaiming Conversation on Social Media. It's kind of isolated our opinions and views of kind of the world. Do you think it kind of puts blinders on us?
I mean, the shooting in Buffalo, right, that just happened, right? That individual was on Discord in his own little bubble talking with other individuals who thought the same way, right? That's proof in the pudding right there, right? Yeah. So absolutely, if you don't like what somebody else is saying, you can block them, you can mute them, you can defriend them, and almost just get stuck in your own echo chamber.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's like a big problem, is that social media has allowed us to kind of cut off any kind of dissent or other opinions, which really has.
This happens a lot. His Wi-Fi is not the greatest.
It's not great.
Arjun, you wanna finish what you're saying?
Yeah. Okay, yeah. It's like kind of the creation of echo chamber. I was just talking about that, and I think that even like people, like it's weird. Like social media has almost like translated over into social interactions, where even like minor disagreement between friends we see at our school has led to kind of like people cutting each other off, which I think is really like kind of a negative aspect.
Exactly. Especially on the internet, it's like you can talk all the crap that you want, right? But then it's like you're not gonna see the other person face to face, so people feel a lot like tougher on the internet, sort of, and then they maybe go a little overboard, and that like spirals down into like
kind of what happened, what we were talking about with the Buffalo and stuff, and do you think there should be we should change our behavior on social media? Should we even eliminate it? Because a lot of people, like even like Sherry Turkle was like kind of pushing this elimination of it. So I'm kind of wary of that, but do you think we should?
That's a great question. I think we might be too far down the rabbit hole to police it in any sort of way.
Yeah.
Right. There was, I think even the creators of the internet couldn't see this coming, that there's no accountability, right? And this protection from the screen, you can say whatever you want really without any huge consequence. Now there is also bringing back old tweets, kind of getting people, let's say, in trouble for something that they said or posted a few, like 10 years ago, that's also problematic, right? Because that's not giving people this ability to change or saying you can't grow within this time, right? And there's just, let's just put it this way. And I don't know if this question was is going to be posed at the end, but let's just give it now. I have an Instagram account that I don't go on. I have a Facebook account that I rarely go on to, right? Mm-hmm. I avoid TikTok like the plague because I can feel that it's a wormhole.
It is.
And even LinkedIn is it's like an achiever's like Pornhub, right? Because it's just, oh, I did all this good stuff. Look at me, look at my degrees and my certifications. And it's just like, come on. And it's all people trying to sound smart and look smart.
Yeah. And then that ties back to our other point of like other people seeing other people's LinkedIn accounts, like, oh, he has this many certification degrees, whatever. It's like, why can't I do that? Like,
Right. It's human nature to compare ourselves to somebody else.
I should. Oh, not again. We're back.
I'm back.
Okay.
We're back.
Yeah.
But I was just saying that it's human nature to compare ourselves. So it's almost like you're putting like a drug addict with all these drugs in front of them, but you're still don't use it, right? And it's not good for us.
Yeah. It's addicting as hell.
Yeah. And I'm an old man. I'm gonna be the old man on the porch right now. I was on Facebook when you needed a college email to get on Facebook, right? And we thought it was the coolest thing ever, right? It was, oh, cool. I get to see pictures from people I went to high school with that, oh, what happened to them, right? And now it's like you guys are just growing up in the world where that it just is. It's been there.
Yeah.
And I mean, how is it for you guys? How, like, people being in high school, I mean, how is it in your school? How is it for the two of you?
It's definitely a big part of it. I feel like it's kind of how we interact in a weird way, like that everything that kind of bleeds off social media controls the conversation in a weird way, which is probably not a good thing. And I think that it kind of has fueled like toxic behavior, because a lot of people like follow these crazy kind of motivational. I know a lot of kids are like, motivational.
I see them every day.
Yeah, because you see them all the time. Like, like guys like this guy named like Gary V, who's like promoting this like 18-hour days, 6 hours of sleep, 18-hour workday, like crazy stuff.
Yeah,
like that.
I know. It's every time I see it, it's like, that's so stupid. Why?
Yeah, it's like it's just like you're inundated with this kind of stuff.
Yeah,
which is just like not good at all, in my opinion.
It's interesting hearing it from your two perspectives, because I'm trying to think back to when we were in high school, but I mean, I don't want to do that podcast, but there's even when I was in college, my internet stayed in my dorm room, right? I didn't have it with me all the time. Like if I was on the internet or on AIM back in the day, it stayed at my computer, and then I would go to school or I would go hang out with people and it wasn't with me. But now it's everywhere we go. We're tethered to one another. So it makes sense that it's almost like you said, it's been the way that you all kind of communicate with one another. And it drives the conversation. Yeah.
I mean, like,
it kind of does though.
Yeah, but it does help, like, keeping in touch with friends, outside of school. Obviously we don't see each other 24/7. So it's nice to, people talk to each other on Discord, Facebook Messenger, whatever. But then there are also still like downsides, right? So what do you think, like, they balance, like,
The balance is to try to be with people, right?
Yeah.
Actually in their presence, and not having phones around, just talking, even if it's just doing things together, right? Yeah. And I think it's trying to reconnect with everybody in a way that's genuine.
Yeah.
And remember, it's okay to disagree, I think we've lost the art of discourse and just having conversations, and
Yeah.
not going to have the same opinion with people, right? Or it reminds me back in during the 2016 election, right? I was hanging out with people, and the group I was hanging out with, everybody was very upset that Hillary Clinton lost, right? And I was bringing up, I was like, yeah, man, I was so upset by it. So I had to look in. I had to understand the Trump supporter. I had to understand the Republican vote. I started describing it. And then they just started attacking me like as if I was the opposing view. I was like, no, but it's like my world is I try to understand people and formulate the reasons behind it. And they wanted no part of it. They wanted no part in talking about it. They thought I was the enemy. And so I mean, you can see that's obviously that's a microcosm of an experience, but it's just how we have become so conditioned to not take in information that's uncomfortable for us.
Yeah. I mean, I've been to the war zone of like Twitter threads, right? Like it's like a simple question. For example, let's say someone made a tweet about how Cristiano Ronaldo is the best soccer player ever, and then the thread would just be like the thousands of comments long. It's like they're versus like Lionel Messi, and like they're both great players. It's like just get over it. Like, it's not a big deal. It's like people just don't like other people that disagree with them. They don't try to see the other perspective. That's kind of social media, caused that sort of.
Right. Yeah, because it's kind of that like echo chamber effect, right? We're so exposed to one view that like once we get out of it, it's so hard to like not react so like negatively. And I think that the other thing we kind of lost is like a question about like people act very differently on the internet than they do in like real life, because they can be vicious almost. You know what I mean? This kind of anger and fuel. And I want to ask, like, do you think that like being anonymous has like kind of fueled like this kind of angry kind of like more, I don't know want to say like more real, but kind of more like less hidden side of people? Like I kind of want to ask, like, what's your thoughts like that kind of like trend, I guess?
Yeah, that's a good question. But let me first address the part about anger, right? That anger is actually, it's very addictive. So if you the more anger you seek and the more anger you experience, the more anger you're going to feel, right? So as you're saying, if you go online, you get into these arguments, you're in this like rage, momentum, and you just want to keep going with it, right? And does the anonymity allow people to be maybe more real, more racist, more prejudiced? Probably, right? But hate sows more hate. So if I had a little bit of racism in me, but then I go to a chat room that is all racist, there we go. Now that little bit of hate grows, right? And the more it happens, and now I'm just saturated with this anger and vitriol, right? So it's not like it kind of snowballed into something much bigger because of the anonymity. Oh, well, I could look into something where, these people, they don't like these kinds of people. Well, let's go explore that a little bit.
Yeah. I feel like, I mean, even on the comment sections of like different things, like you can see people like the real, like a kind of like side to them, like that's kind of undiscovered. I think that, do you think kind of social media's like toxic effects have kind of bled over to how we interact with people itself? Like I feel like interactions have changed over
especially
the past.
like stereotypes made around maybe like minorities or like
other
people based on social media.
Probably. I could only speak anecdotally here.
Right? Of course,
because I mean, even personally, I live in Northern Orange County, right? I went to Costco and somebody came at me and said, "You people are always in the way." And I was
really?
Like, what?
Really? Wow.
That's what?
Wow.
but again, it was your stereotypical maybe 50s to early 60s person who's probably on Facebook or the Nextdoor app all the time.
Yeah.
The reaction I got was very much, it was, she said it under her breath, thinking I wasn't going to hear it. And I wasn't going to let her get away with it. So I just said, I'm sorry, I would appreciate if you don't say those kinds of things with my son around. And I was just very professional and calm about it. But and that's the problem again, right? With social media is we see these interactions a lot because people are starting to film them, right? Are we exposed to it more? Is it happening more? Or are we just, are they being chronicled more, right? I don't know. But then again, it's, when the Black Lives Matters protest happened a few years ago, all of a sudden people started realizing, oh my gosh, wow, there's a ton of police brutality around the country.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like, well, we just never saw footage of it before, but it's going down. Right?
Everything just spreads like wildfire on Instagram, whatever it is.
Right. And that now we're getting into the benefits of it, right? There's no more hiding, right? You can't hide because, somebody's going to come out and be like, no. You were doing this a while back, right? You can't just hide in the shadows anymore. So we're trying to spread information. We're trying to spread positivity, right? So that's a very great part of social media. Things go viral for the right reasons. People getting. I'm thinking about a certain video where somebody was calling the police on on a picnic that they were having, and it's like it was pure racism why she was calling the police on them. And so we're starting to see it more often now of these, I guess these incidents.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I want to ask, do you think that social media, one of the big, I guess, benefits is it allows people to have an equal platform to talk about issues that do matter and things like that, and kind of, I know it can be abused and stuff, but do you think it does have that kind of positive of allowing everyone to become on a level playing field with the same reach, and one video that goes viral can really highlight something with some injustice or some problem in our country? Do you think having social media as a tool to kind of spread light onto issues is valuable? Do you think it outweighs the negatives? That's kind of a hard question, I know, but
yeah, well, I think it does give people an equal platform, right? And this is actually, it's interesting because during the pandemic, obviously more people have been using Zoom, but talk about equal platform, people who were previously ignored or talked over in meetings now are being listened to. You know why? Because height, because size, because voice didn't matter. Everybody was on equal playing ground, right? It didn't matter about those other, those physical attributes or something, or, you weren't distracted because somebody was physically either not attractive or too attractive, right? Everybody was on an equal playing field, right? So everybody's opinion mattered, everybody's voice mattered, right? And I think what you were referring to earlier is that, we give everybody this platform to talk, right? And then there's also the other side of that is, well, some people get the platform and maybe their message isn't the best for society.
Yeah.
Just hurt other
That's
people.
true.
Yeah, but on the other side of that, I feel like social media has made a lot of people also go to the extremes, right? It's if you keep on, let's say if you're a certain political party really, and then you just keep on following those accounts that only, support your beliefs, then the algorithm, to keep you for a longer time on the platform, they're just going to keep on giving you the same content, solidifying your views more, making you more polarized. And then that can drive more conflict, I guess. Yeah.
Right. And so that's a slippery slope is where do we draw the line? And who can we understand the algorithms, or maybe not can we, but can these companies be more transparent about what the algorithm is actually trying to do? What's the purpose here? Is it just selling ad space and trying to get us to stay on their platform? Right. That's okay. I mean, fine. I don't know how I feel with that, but that's fine. But if you're trying to get me to lean a certain way, right? Now we're kind of treading dangerous territory there.
Trying to sway opinion.
Yeah.
Right.
And there's kind of because the thing is the algorithm works in a way that keeps you addicted, but we don't know what we're addicted to. So I think it's a good point you brought up, kind of even like, I don't know how truthful Elon Musk is being, but like he said he wants to open source the algorithm for people to see kind of how
the Twitter buyout.
Yeah. I think you're right though, that the algorithm is designed. It's not, I don't think was intention designed to kind of keep you politically hooked, but it was intention designed to keep you on the platform longer.
Always on the phone. Yeah.
Inadvertently led you to like more extreme views, I guess. And I think like, do you think there's any way to reform it? Because I think we're too far gone to eliminate it completely. Do you think if there's any reforms we could be seeing?
I think that's a problem for your generation to fix.
Yeah.
but and that's the thing, is the fact that you two and your foundation is having this discussion, right? That's a good thing. Talking about these issues, because honestly, is there a solution? I'd like to believe there is. I'd like to believe that there's a way to have our cake and eat it too, right? But it's going to take thought. It's going to take conversation. It's going to take a lot of work.
Yeah.
Just going back to a different point here, leading away from kind of the political side of things. When you said earlier about like rather like hang out with people in person rather than talking online. What are your opinions on like things like FaceTime? Like during COVID, obviously
things like that.
We couldn't go outside and meet other people. So people were spending like 12, 14 hours a day on FaceTime. And you think that's healthy necessarily? Or, I mean, you are getting your interactions, but it's just different kind of.
It is different. There's a sense of, there's almost like a filter, right? A barrier between true interaction. I feel like there's an energy that people give to one another. Now that sounds maybe a little hokey for some individuals there, but I do feel like there's an energy you get from somebody by being in a room with them. Now, is it good to bridge the gap when you need to? Absolutely. Right. And again, this isn't something I had in my generation. So I'm not used to it. Right. I would rather sit in a room of people. Right. I'd rather be, with other individuals.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, for example, your clients really like on, I don't know, whatever platform you guys use. There's definitely like a difference in terms of like your session experience.
There is, right. And now I feel like a hypocrite saying that because I primarily use telehealth. So there's, I guess this barrier here. What I've noticed though, is some of my clients are able to be more honest with me because there is this barrier, right? They're not as anxious, right? So we can really dig deep into, some of their traumas, some of the things that are bothering them, right? So on one hand, it's very beneficial. And then on the other hand, part of therapy is working on how to alleviate some of those anxieties when you are sitting with somebody else. So that's probably the piece that, a lot of my clients aren't able to get.
Yeah. I do agree that I think that in-person conversations are usually easier because of like, I think like unconsciously, can we like read body language and how people kind of interact and things like that. But I do agree, like I think what really was interesting to me is how FaceTime really helped me during the pandemic, just to even have some like virtual face and thing. I kind of wanted to ask a little bit about
it's back.
I can start over. It's like, do you think like kind of as someone from a different generation itself, do you think that like technology will kind of become the main way of communication, or do you think it'll still be in person? Because I think there will be a resurgence of kind of in-person talking, like an in-person communication, like following the pandemic. But that's just my opinion, I guess.
everything's cyclical, man. I mean, vinyl came back and people love vinyl records.
That's
There's going to
true.
be a group of individuals or a group of people who will probably, drop all electronic devices. I think Aziz Ansari, he's back to using a flip phone, right? He's like, I'm done with a smartphone, right? So there's going to be individuals who say, I'm done with it. I'm done with technology. Yeah. I'm only going to use it for these purposes. And I'm going to go back to real human interaction, or not real human interactions. Let me rephrase that. I'm going to go back to face-to-face interactions. See, that was a Freudian slip right there. I think you can see where I stand. At the same time, I think there's going to be people who are very comfortable with technology, and it does fulfill the needs that they have. There isn't. I think the thing here is we have to remember, just in life in general, there are no rights and wrongs with anything. Is it fulfilling your needs? And are you getting what you need and want? At the end of the day, if yes and yes, whichever suits you, right? Yeah. Whatever works for you.
Yeah.
That's true.
One thing that does kind of suck, I guess, like pretty much our entire lives nowadays, just based on the internet. I mean, it's like you can go back to a flip phone and use it only for calling people. Sometimes like online interviews, or like some people's jobs are completely dependent on the internet. So it's just
that is true.
It requires a lot of self-control now. And for example, myself, I have time limits on Twitter, Instagram, whatever. I don't let myself spend more than like 30, 45 minutes
a day.
But then, it's also really easy to just click, ignore time limit.
Yeah, exactly.
Ignore for today. Sorry, I'm on a FaceTime call right now. It's okay. Let me just ignore it. And then you just kind of forget, and gradually the hours build up, and you feel horrible about yourself. Like, oh man, I spent 2 hours, like 5 hours. And I know Arjun has a friend. Do you say his name? Alfredo. Let's call him Alfredo. Yeah.
Let's call him
Alfredo.
I know he told me like he has 14 or like 15 hour like screen
crazy
time. That's insane.
On like so many apps.
Right.
Yeah.
My suggestion in that would be, if that's your intention, by all means do it, but try to be intentional with what you're doing. Right. Mm-hmm. I have some clients who, they have their guilty pleasures, right? Whether if it's being on Facebook or TikTok or, binge watching something on TV, right? Like, but be intentional about it. All right. If you have 2 hours in the day and that's what you want to do with your 2 hours, cool. Give yourself permission to do it. Nothing's wrong with it. Right. It's the mindlessness that gets us. Right. And that's like what you pointed out, Andrew. You felt terrible after that, right?
Yeah.
Because you're like, oh my gosh, what happened to my day? At the same time, if you were like, I'm going to go on, social media for 4 hours today, right? And you did it. It's like, okay, cool. That's what you wanted to do.
Yeah.
Right? So it's all about being intentional with what we do, and then also giving ourselves permission to do some of these things. Because inherently, again, there's nothing wrong with social media. There's nothing wrong with binge watching TV, right?
Yeah. I think it's kind of a good place to, you may start to wrap it up. Do you have any kind of final words thoughts of wisdom, I guess?
Yeah, kind of getting a time limit here. So yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. Let's see. Final words of wisdom. Be the best person you can be without being an asshole. Just have fun with life. Try to do something that's good for yourself. Be good to those around you.
Sure.
And don't sweat the small stuff. Yeah. Be kind to yourself.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep rambling on now. I'll just stop. But honestly, my life philosophy is do the best you can do and don't be an asshole. That's how I try to live my life.
That's a good one.
Yeah. End of the day, none of this really matters. Like I talked to you earlier about the AP test, the whole lemonade story.
Yeah.
End of the day, it's not really that big a deal. All right. Yeah.
Thank you so much for doing this episode. We just one final, I guess, shameless plug. Make sure to follow @LotShow on Insta.
Yeah.
Make sure
Do you have any
subscribe.
socials you want to plug? Socials kind of hypocritical there, but like any communications, anywhere people can reach you.
Yeah. You know what? I think because my name will be up. If people want to find me, they can find me. I don't have like public social. Yeah. But if you want to find me, if you know, I don't know. I'm more than happy to help with anybody. If anybody has questions about what it's like to what to look for in a good therapist, I don't know. I'm really just doing this because I think what you and your foundation is doing is great. I'm all
Thank
for
you.
spreading mental health awareness. I just want to support you guys and your crew with everything that you're doing.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thanks.
And as you can tell, it's just something it's my career, obviously, but I'm very passionate about mental health. It's something that I try to live myself as well. So yeah, no plugs.
No plugs. All right. Nice and simple. Thank you.
Thank you.
And,
thank you so much.
Thank you all listeners for listening to part 2 of this episode 1 about social media. Sorry it took a while to produce. A lot of internal conflicts.
Internal stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So stay tuned for next time. We are going to be talking about, I guess, 2 of our other anchors, obviously not Arjun and I, but they will be talking about specifically girls and mental health, their experience with that. So stay tuned.
Stay tuned for that. Thank you so much.
And
Peace.
we'll see you guys later. Bye.
All right, guys. Thanks for listening. We're sorry about the delay, but episode 2 is going to be coming out later this month, so keep your eyes peeled for that. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
Bye. Oh, we just left.